XRP holders will be sitting on a gold mine in 2030. Imagine holding XRP today, and by 2030, that could be your ticket to a real gold mine. Many people completely underestimate how big the market for XRP can still become, even though banks and ETFs are already jumping on board. In this video, I'll show you why XRP could not only rise significantly, but also which price targets are actually realistic. And at the end, you'll hear about a scenario that even the most die-hard XRP fans haven't considered yet. Welcome to 10 Times Crypto, your channel for honest data-driven altcoin analysis. Have you ever wondered which coin could turn the banking world upside down in 2030? XRP is one of the most widely supported altcoins and is already part of a global financial structure today. Many people don't even know that XRP isn't just a coin, but the heart of the XRP ledger, a blockchain that was specifically built to solve the biggest problem in the financial system: fast and inexpensive international payments. While transfers in the SWIFT system take 3 to 5 days and can cost up to $40, XRP only needs 3 seconds and costs less than a cent per transaction. That's exactly why banks, fintechs, and ETFs are relying on XRP. From a technical standpoint, XRP is extremely efficient. No mining process, but a consensus mechanism that is 61,000 times more energy efficient than Bitcoin. More than 150 validators secure the network in a decentralized way, yet it's scalable up to 1,500 transactions per second. And what exactly makes XRP so unique now? Ultimately, it serves as a bridge currency between fiat currencies. This means banks can move money around the world in real time without detours or complications, without intermediary banks. And this is where it gets interesting. Ripple, the company behind XRP, is working on ETF approvals, stablecoin integration, and already has over 300 partners worldwide. From Santander to American Express, real heavyweights are already using XRP. So make sure to stick around until the end, and then I'll show you realistic price targets for 2030, including a scenario where XRP becomes a real goldmine for holders. Grab yourself a coffee, leave a like for me, and I also recommend my new free community, the Zenix Insider. I've linked all the info for you up here. And now let's get into the analysis. But a quick disclaimer, my channel is not financial advice, it's purely for informational purposes. As always, let's start with the market capitalization. Currently, XRP has a market capitalization of around 170 billion US dollars. That makes it one of the largest cryptocurrencies overall in the top 10 worldwide. Back in 2018, XRP already had a market cap of over 140 billion. And now with ETFs and institutions, we're seeing a new wave. But as a high-cap altcoin, XRP naturally doesn't have the most massive growth anymore, which is why it only gets a 6 in this category. Next, let's look at the circulating supply. Out of the nearly 100 billion XRP, 59.6 billion are already in circulation, that's 59%. In 2017, Ripple placed over 55 billion in escrow with monthly releases. Today we see that the only sales are those that are controlled, but so far they've hardly had any negative impact on the price. That definitely shows a certain level of trust. That's why it also gets a strong 8 in this category. Let's move on to the roadmap. What does the roadmap look like? For 2025, they're fully packed. DeFi expansion, stablecoins, RLUSD tokenization app chains. Ripple delivers. Milestones like the expansion into Africa have already been achieved. This shows they have a vision, and the execution is also on point. A strong 9. Then there's the team behind XRP. Brett Garlinghouse is of course the CEO. David Schwartz as CTO. Monica Long as president. And then there are key figures like Chris Larsen or Stuart Alderoty. The team not only survived the SEC lawsuit, but also built up global adoption at the same time. Hardly any crypto team is as crisis tested as this one. So here, definitely a strong 9. So what about the narrative? The storytelling of XRP is clear: fast, cheap, and sustainable payments. For years, banks around the world have been searching for an alternative to SWIFT. XRP positions itself exactly where green technology meets a megatrend. So what problem does XRP actually solve? The problem is that SWIFT is expensive, slow, and non-transparent. The solution, XRP, enables payments in seconds for a fraction of a cent. For migrants who, for example, want to send money to Africa, it's a game changer. For banks, it's a billion-dollar saving. So what about sustainability and energy efficiency? The XRP ledger is up to 61,000 times more efficient than Bitcoin. They have been climate neutral since 2020. In times of ESG investors, that's a real USP. A strong 10 here. Now let's move on to the investors and the capital. Investors like Google Ventures, Andreessen and Horowitz or SBI, plus billions in capital from XRP sales. So financially, they are in an extremely strong position. Even after the expensive legal battle, Ripple remains financially very strong. A very strong 8 here. So who are XRP's actual competitors? Stellar, Swift, the old system, and maybe even Solana. But XRP is best positioned with the banks. If you want to see more in-depth altcoin analyses, for example on Stellar, Solana or Ethereum, then check out my playlist Scenics Universe, and up here I'll also link the analysis on Stellar. Have fun with it. In this area as well, definitely a strong 8. Next up, marketing. Ripple uses events like Swell, partnerships with BlackRock and digital campaigns. No meme hype, but a clear B2B strategy. A strong 8 in this area. So how simple is the idea behind XRP? The idea is easy to explain. A global Swift system, only faster, cheaper and greener. Here a strong 9. Next, what is XRP's long-term vision? Ripple wants to make XRP the standard for tokenization, meaning stablecoins and also payments. The vision extends to 2030. Integration into the global financial system. A strong 9 in this area. So what about XRP? Is it deflationary? Does it have a max supply? XRP has a hard cap of 100 billion. Transaction fees are burned. Over 12 million XRP have already been destroyed. With increasing usage, the deflationary pressure naturally grows. What? Of course, that's a game changer. A strong 9. Then, what about the fully diluted market capitalization? That's at 280 billion. The market cap, as mentioned, is around 170 billion. That's a factor of 1.7 times. That's very healthy compared to many other altcoins and a strong point. That's why it's also a strong 10 in this area. Then what about liquidity? How liquid is XRP in the end? The daily trading volume is about 5.6 billion. That's roughly over 3% of the market cap. And of course that means they have strong liquidity there. Here, a strong 10. Then what about the initial token distribution? Was it distributed fairly? 80% went to Ripple, 20% to the founders, and today there are over 5 million holders. Ripple does control a lot, but at least the escrow system prevents dumping. In this area, a solid 7. Then what about the top coin holders? Are there any big whales? The top 10 hold over 40%, the top 1 over 85%. That does bring a certain stability, but you always have to be careful because it also poses a centralization risk. That's one of the big problems with XRP, that some people see centralization as a major issue. Only a 5 here. Then what about the utility? So basically the utility of XRP. XRP is used as gas in the network for bridges. It's a backing currency used as collateral as a DeFi asset and soon also for gaming applications. So chains. So XRP is much more than just a means of payment. A strong 8. And then what about the community? The XRP army? Over 5 million holders with high activity on X, on YouTube, on Reddit. Are you an XRP holder too? Are you a fan of XRP? Write it in the comments so that videos like this can really go viral and gain visibility so we can inform others about XRP. And all of it data-based without hype. Here another 8. So what events are coming up this year and especially next year? Swell 2025 with BlackRock, possible ETF approvals, stablecoin launches. Each individual event can act as a catalyst. A strong 9. Honestly, XRP is a foundation in the global financial system. And that's exactly what makes it so exciting for us investors. Let's take a look at the result on the 10 times ranking list. XRP. In my analysis, it achieved 82.7%. Now, they're extremely high up and not without reason because XRP is extremely strong. It does have its risks, but it's still an extremely strong altcoin. So what are the takeaways from the analysis? XRP is a high cap altcoin with massive adoption by banks. The tokenomics are solid but not perfect because ultimately there is a centralization risk. Technically, XRP is strong. The ledger is efficient, they're climate neutral, and they handle many transactions per second. And the vision? They want to become the bridge currency for the entire world by 2030. My assessment? XRP is no longer an insider tip, but it's one of the few altcoins that could still play a central role in 5 to 10 years. But now the question is, what will you do with that? Do you want to know which altcoins I personally hold in my portfolio? Then check out the 10x Elite. There I show you what I hold in my personal portfolio. You get market updates, you get certain indicators that I use. You can find all the information in the video description or simply here on the QR codes. And now we come to the most exciting part of this analysis. How much could XRP really be worth? Many people underestimate how much this coin can still develop. But this is exactly where it will be decided, whether in 2030 you might be sitting on a real gold mine or miss the opportunity. Let's start with the bear scenario. Imagine adoption falls far short of expectations. Banks hesitate, regulations slow things down, and XRP grows only slowly. Then we would see prices of $1 to $3 in this bull run. Let's move on to the normal scenario, where XRP gains market share, ETFs are approved, and banks increasingly use XRP as a bridge currency. Then we could see ranges from $3 to $7. But now it gets exciting, the optimistic scenario where a lot of capital from institutions, partnerships, and so on flows into XRP. XRP becomes the standard for international payments. Then we're talking about prices from $7 to $10. And now we come to the very optimistic scenario. XRP establishes itself as the global bridge currency and overtakes SWIFT. SWIFT loses its market share, adoption becomes unstoppable, and XRP enters the mainstream. Then we're talking about prices from $10 to $17. But what is the vision for 2030? Imagine a world where Ripple and XRP have a permanent place in the global financial system, where asset tokenization, stablecoins, and international payments all run through XRP. And then the price could realistically go well above $50 US. By the way, if you want to buy XRP or other altcoins, I recommend my partner exchange. There's currently a bonus available there, which could be extremely interesting for you as a viewer. Check out all the information in the pinned comment or here in the QR code. Have fun with it, and thanks for your support. So, what does my chart analysis say now? Would I get in right now? Would I wait? Would I get out? I've developed a new indicator that's tailored to my needs. Simple but data-driven. Now let's get to the chart analysis. Hello and welcome to my chart analysis of XRP. First, an important piece of information. I use TradingView and my own indicator, which I developed myself. For me, it's always like this. It should be as simple as possible. I don't need an overly complicated indicator. For me, the calculation should run in the background and, in the end, the interface should be as simple as possible. In any case, my indicator is based on overbought or oversold zones. A quick example. Here, for instance, a lot of people have sold. That means we've entered the oversold zone. My indicator then shows this with a green dot. And the other way around, if a lot of people are buying and we're slowly entering the overbought zone, it shows that here with a red dot. My advantage is simply that I know very quickly when there are pretty good entry points. I have two indicators, one for trades, which is more short term, and one for dollar cost averaging, which is more long term. And right now, as you can see here, green dot, this would have been a point where I would have entered. Up here, red dot, this would have been a point where I would have taken partial profits or exited completely. Of course, it really depends on the market situation. In any case, whether short or long term regarding the current situation. We saw that we pushed upwards here, which was also due to the news from the Federal Reserve after all. But in the end, we now have another resistance zone here. We haven't quite reached the overbought area yet. Still, I would say caution is advised here because there could be a bit of a dump coming. In any case, this is my reaction now. I'm not doing anything for now. I'm waiting until it goes down, until we're back in the oversold zone again and a green dot appears on my indicator. And then for me, that's a good entry point. If you want to follow along a bit, for example, in my 10 times elite, I actually post daily market news updates, but also when I enter, when I exit, and when I take profits. You really get full information there, and there's a lot more as well. So just take a look at it. The 10 times elite is really interesting. And by the way, here I have another analysis that's also extremely exciting from the 10x universe. If you find XRP interesting, then you'll find this altcoin, one of XRP's direct competitors, also extremely strong. So thanks for watching and see you in the next video.